How do you think Norwich City are fixed, and how do you think football is fixed at this difficult time?
Well, I think it's challenging, and it's been a really challenging 6 months for the club, financially, obviously. No one could have expected it. We were in a really good space in March, both on and off the pitch, quite frankly, and then revenue dries up. And from our perspective, that's going to be a £12 million deficit for us that we need to effectively work through over the next sort of 12 to 18 months and work through as a football club. So.
Obviously, you've had to cope without fans over this period at the end of the Premier League and possibly the start of a new Football League season. How much longer do you think this club can go on without supporters coming in?
Well, I think we're robust ultimately. We've got a fantastic self-finance model. It's challenging, of course. We have to work harder, we have to be smarter. We have to be more efficient, and we have to try and grow our revenues, because ultimately that will help. We have the parachute payment, but like I say, it will come down to club controlled income and us being tight with that. It will come down to player trading, and it will come down to a good creative use of the parachute payment. But we need to be as competitive as we can be on the pitch. And what we've got at this club is we've got an identity, and we've got a plan, and we absolutely know how to deliver off the pitch to help us on the pitch. So, you know, we're very certain, and we're very clear on how we can move forward.
Yeah. In terms of how you've been able to keep it down to just 12 million, what have you had to do?
Well, firstly, what I would say, a large part of that has been just efficiencies across our business, whether it be the furloughing scheme, whether it be looking across our budgets and slashing where possible, cutting capital expenditure costs. But also there has been some phenomenal support from our sponsors that has saved us millions of pounds, quite frankly, where they have chosen not to take rebates. And we thank them so much for that. And certainly since I've been here over the last 5 years, we've built up such a phenomenal partnership base and sponsorship base that is testament to their loyalty, that they effectively did not take anywhere near the monies that they could have done. Our fan base has been phenomenal with the rebate process that we went through. 10% of the 35 to 36,000 people gifted that money back to the academy. A further 10% gave it to CSF to help with our work in the community, which has been phenomenal during this period. So, I think as a club, we come out of this hopefully with a return to spectators with test events in the next month. We come out of it almost with green shoots of positivity throughout adversity over the last 6 months, and we couldn't be prouder of how the teams have pulled together, both internally at the club, but also the fan base as well. So I believe we should look forward and not look back, and move forward together, because we're going to need that momentum moving into the Championship.
You mentioned the fan base, 22,000 season ticket holders for next season, plus the extra membership as well. I mean, that really is a shot in the arm, isn't it?
Yeah, it's unbelievable, and it's really unbelievable when you think about the circumstances. You know, we as a club, for our direct debit scheme, we're taking considerable amounts of money from supporters. That 22,000 supported us and continue to support us phenomenally. And we need that as a club. That's the lifeblood of our football club. We certainly need it moving forward. We want to have a packed stadium as soon as possible and as soon as it's safe to do so. But equally at the same time, we've got plans in place that allow us to use this as a test venue with a reduced capacity, possibly up to 6,000 initially. And we'll be communicating to season ticket holders and members around how they can get a seat in the ground once the fixture lists are released on the 21st, next Friday. But ultimately, from my perspective, that number, the support that we have is phenomenal at this football club, and you know we are so blessed to have that amount, and that's actually one of the highest amounts that we've had in 22,000 in recent years. So the support is phenomenal, as I say.
On one hand, you've got the support. On the other hand, it's been challenging for the people who work here as well. Just sort of explain how challenging it has been.
Yeah, it's that's probably been one of our key concerns. Both Stuart, Zoe and I, we've been working through how we can really communicate and work with our staff to still try to deliver in really testing times. We've obviously had the furlough scheme, and I think one of the key things has been communication. We've had to communicate not just with our own staff, our part-time staff as well, our stewards. We try to be as close a family as we can be during this period, and we've tried to support our community in the best way possible. But our family starts within the Carrow Road and Colney offices, and I think that togetherness that we have got us where we were, which is in the Premier League. Last time we were in the Championship, we'll need that again, and that's why when we do furlough and when we do see other things like what we saw at Arsenal with redundancies happening, we will do everything that we can for that not to be the case at Norwich City Football Club, and that's how we're working. We're only as good as the teams that we have, and we've got a brilliant team.
Yeah. How close to full operational are you then in terms of staff? You've got people working from home, or you've got people in offices, that sort of stuff?
Yeah, we're about 75% now, and the departments or entities that can't come back for reasons of effectively having an empty stadium or a stadium that doesn't operate in its normal way from a revenue generating perspective. We're hoping to get them back as soon as possible, but the furlough scheme has certainly helped us and other businesses. Of course, it's been a lifesaver. From our perspective, when the season does kick off again, either on the 5th in the Carabao Cup if we're drawn at home, or on the 12th if we're indeed at home in our first game of the season, we would like that to be one of our first test events, and therefore that then generally kind of lifts our staffing requirements for the amount of people that we will need to cater for in the stadium. Once again, we can't guarantee it because the government may make changes around whether we can indeed host test events here, but we're doing all the planning with our local kind of governing bodies and our safety advisory groups to ensure that when we can, we do bring as many supporters as we can safely back into the stadium.
Okay. One thing you mentioned in the briefing, football is king, and incredibly, despite all the challenges that you're facing, you're still able to operate in terms of the transfers.
Yeah, absolutely. But like I say, from our perspective, our model, our club is reliant on being self-financed. So we have a plan in place, and that plan has to always result in the key objective being how competitive can we be on the pitch. Stuart's domain, and it's our job here at Carrow Road, and my job specifically to ensure that we've got the finances in place to be as competitive as we can be on the pitch. So that has to be our number one objective for next season, and during this close season that's what we've been working on, and that plan hasn't really changed, if I'm honest. We just have to deal with the variables around COVID and the 12 million loss accordingly.
Yeah, and in terms of COVID, that continues in the backdrop. In terms of well-being and everything like that, is everyone still mindful of what's required, so to speak?
Yeah, of course. We've had office environment changes. We've had a fair amount of cost to ensure that we are kind of COVID responsible, shall we say. We have guidelines, and we've had to change so much as a business to adapt to the new normal. But ultimately, we're responsible employees and employers. Sorry. So from that perspective, it's our duty to do that, and it's our duty to do that when the fans come back as well, to have a really clear and concise plan, and then also have a comms plan to ensure that the supporters sat at home can make a decision as to whether they do want to come back in, and then they know how they can allocate and select their seat accordingly, as and when they can do. So I think it's key. But equally, we've been doing a lot of work in the stadium and a lot of work over at Colney during the close season. So, the pitches over at Colney have been renovated, first team pitches and academy pitches. Equally, at the same time, we've done some good refurbishment work here at the stadium, and we're still engaging in a really positive way around small but significant and meaningful changes that we can do with our fan base. So, what we want to do is open up the dialogue around, can we make Carrow Road even more of a fortress by having different coloured nets, and the fantastic work that Along Come Norwich have done in growing and creating that atmosphere. They're gonna put out a campaign that almost puts the option and the answer into the fans' hands around, what colour nets do they want, because we've got to do stuff to keep as positive as we can be during what is a testing, tricky, difficult circumstance and time. You said that the fans were really missed during the end of the last season, so I guess you can't wait to have fans back. No, I mean they've been phenomenal. fans have been phenomenal, and they are phenomenal, aren't they? I know everyone says it, but I think we've got the best fans in football, and they vote with their feet, and they vote in their numbers, and they commit their finances to this football club. And we need them in the ground, and they are our 12th man. I know it's a cliche, but we need them, and hopefully we can get them back, and hopefully that will kickstart a really successful campaign on and off the pitch.